All right, here we go. Guys, I will have to speed up a bit because usually we do this talk in like 30 minutes, but we only have only 10 minutes. So sorry if I speak too fast. All right. So just one sec. So hello everyone. My name is Guto. I'm the staff engineer for the reliability domain in Pandora. When I'm not at work, I like to push my I'm at the gym because I like to push my body strength to the limit, and I like doing that by either doing powerlifting or CrossFit. Also, recently I just started this Instagram page called Tech to Zero. In Portuguese, I know that the naming is a bit misleading, but in Portuguese, Tech to Zero means tech from zero. But the goal of this page itself is that I help others to join a tech or either migrate from another career into tech, and also demystify some beliefs that they have. And yes, the focus is that I get the most humble communities and teach them something about tech that they could go away from that humble community and start working in tech. So the reason why I'm here today is that first, to set the stage, I want to say that in Pandora, we are a very small team. We are only 8 engineers, and we support more than 120 squads. That means 800 people. Okay, so today, the plan is that I will take you guys on a journey on how we bootstrapped SRE in our organization. I want to show you guys that with the right tooling and data to create awareness about our application performance and the visibility that the underlying dependencies will give you and the costs it will bring you. With that, we were able to shift the engineering culture and improve our mean time to detect and also the mean time to recover by more than 100%. We reduced the time that we were during an incident for more than 4,000 minutes in a year. That means a lot. I will share more values about this with you guys. All right. So Smit, let me just thing here. Yeah. So yeah, let's go to the next slide, please. So back in 2019, when I had recently joined the company, we were in a race of constantly building new features while trying to juggle the stability of the platform. And then during this phase, we had technical debt mainly was piling up to the ceiling. And then the reliability of the platform was suffering a lot as well. So I remember as clear as the day that we had this thing that I personally call it the ring of fire, because every day, every morning, we would get together it wasn't even a room, was on the corridors of the company on the first floor in Berlin. And we would get together in this circle, and every team lead or any senior people that was working on the platform, so we would get together and we would talk about the incidents that we caused because of the many features that we were building. So we were talking about this, all of these incidents and what we were doing to improve these incidents, right? So you see that there was no clear direction of what we were doing. So everybody was doing the best that they thought they could do at the time. And so we had 2 main directions, and then with 2 main directions, you just end up running in circles, no after a tail, and just coming back to the same problems over and over again. One of the main things that people would complain as well was that we had tools, but they were too fragmented in lots of other tools. So like we had like 4 or 5 tools, and these tools itself, they didn't really give us what we needed. Also, they were either too slow or missing information. So in January 2020, I gave the first presentation about SRE and the first step into SRE. I call that the SRE. I call that the Operation Hawk. Please, next slide. So the so the Operation Hawk is because we talked about the vision, right? That we had no vision. So like, all right, what is the animal that represents visions for me? Is a hawk, because a hawk can see 3 times further than a human can see, right? So we started with the implementing. So Operation Hawk was the first step into SRE, right? So the first, so I got the idea about the SRE by reading the Google SRE book, right? And the easiest thing to do that would bring us the most value was to have the golden signals in our platform. And the golden signals are just metrics that would show user happiness. So either error rate, throughput, saturation, and latency. These are the main metrics that every application that lives here nowadays has. But that, again, that wouldn't be possible if we didn't have a tool to see this, like a tool that we could trust. So next slide, please. Sorry. So our roadmap goes back again in 2020, where we had to start a search for the right tool to do that. The goal was that we wanted every single data in one place that we could trust and that we could rely on. So after some POCs and lots of discovery with all of the other verticals that delivered Hero, we end up being with Datadog, because at the time, Datadog was the only tool that could provide us with the visibility that we needed for every place, for everything, for every service that we had in Delivery Hero. So we started migrating everything into Datadog, and the first thing that we migrated was, again, the one that could was the lowest adoption bar, and it was logs, because logs usually just JSON, you send it to the output and end up being in Datadog, which already helps a lot. We started from the point that we didn't have much, that was already a lot. 2021 is that where actions really start to happen, right? So now we had some data in Datadog, and we have more data to show also to our stakeholders what we are doing and what we wanted to achieve. So then the squad really began. We hired our first engineering manager, which is an awesome guy. He also did a lot of site reliability engineering at eBay and other companies. So he also helped us to give it some format, and we started. And one of the first things that we did in 2021 was the automation of the golden signals. So with the automation of the golden signals, we would give all of the API owners control of their applications, would give the API owners control of their observability stack already. So with 2 or 3 commands, they would create all the monitors and alerts for their application. And because we saw that it was very successful for us, that we could just put it out there and they could start working already, we thought, all right, because we are a small team, then what else can we do, right? What else could we do that would give them a clear path so that they could continue working on their own? So with that, we created the SRE framework. Next slide, please. So the SRE framework is the idea of creating this standardized and clear path for improvement that API owners could follow. So the idea here is that instead of us doing everything, we would create this clear path and tell them, hey, this is how you can do this. And we tell them, you can do this on your own. And when we say this, they feel more empowered, right? So they will start doing this. The only thing that we do here is that we lower the adoption bar here. So meaning that, for example, they go to signals automation, right? So we create this automation, and now they can just enjoy this. So the SRE framework is split in 5 different maturity levels. So level 0 is this thing that we tell them, like they learn about SRE. Level 1, maturity level 1 is they create their basic observability with automation. Like so, for example, they go to signals where they have all the basic monitors in one single place in automated fashion way. Maturity level 2 is where the action really begins here, because in maturity level 2 they start implementing service level objects. Service level objects are targets in the sense of, for example, if one application needs to be like for all the requests that comes to my application, it needs to be responded in less than 200 milliseconds. So I will put an objective of 99% of the requests that come into my service, they needed to be answered in less than 200 milliseconds. If it goes beyond that, that would start affecting the user happiness. And if that happens, it will start going to our 30 maturity level, which is it will start burning the error budget, right? So if you have like 4 nines in a month, it would give you like 40 minutes in a month that you could fail these 200 milliseconds. So if in the whole year, in the whole month, you burn this error budget, then it's an agreement that you have with your team. And this agreement means that you cannot deploy new features anymore. So you would have to work on the stability of these again. And then following down the road, maturity level 4 is where you have full control of your SRE stack, meaning that you go back to level 1 and you start revisiting everything that you did. And maybe you need more metrics, or you need to like your SLO that was 4 nines, maybe you need less so you can fail more. So it's the idea that you go back and revisit everything and start again. Next slide, please. So as we all know, culture beats strategy every time, right? So the cultural changes that we see that happen with the team was that now every team in foundation, they strive for giving our end users. So our end users are the developers, right? So we strive for giving them the self-service with the lowest adoption bar ever. And yeah, because again, with that, they just type some commands, type name of their service, and the stack is created for them, and they can focus on what really matters, which is deploying new features. We also came up with this idea of batteries included approach, which is our default approach, right? So the batteries included is a terminology that was used by the toy companies. So the toy companies back in the times, they would when they sell the toys, they would put the batteries together with the toy, because when the kids, when they buy this, kids, they wanted to start playing with this right away, right? So we got the same idea to create all of our monitors. And so nowadays at Delivery Hero, whenever we created any resources in AWS, it already creates all these underlying monitors for you out of the box, automatically, without you doing anything. You just have to create it, the resource. So let's say RDS, and when you create this, all of the main monitors for RDS will be created together. And that means that because it's automated, these alerts that we create, they will go straight to the app owners. So we know who are the owners of every resource in AWS, right? So what happens with this was that we increased the scope of observability and transfer to the app owner this observability control, right? Because now they receive the alerts. Now it's on them to solve the issues that it might happen. So, and then by doing that was where we saw the biggest difference, because the main outcome of this was that we reduced the mean time to recover and the mean time to detect by more than 100%. So in actual revenue, this much that we reduced means more than 42 million euros in a year, because of the amount of orders that we have. And this, I'm not making accountable here the engineering time to solve these incidents, and also the engineering frustration, right? Because when you have an incident, usually engineers will be like frustrated because they have to fix that now, right? So without counting that, we didn't make it accountable, and it's more than 42 million euros that we saved in one single year in the platform. We have many more exciting topics to talk about. The roadmap for the next year looks full, and for that, nobody else than Smit to walk you through our future plans. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much, Guto, for sharing this amazing journey and explaining the SRE framework. Looking back to where we started, it feels like we have come a long way, and I guess this wouldn't have been possible without the support of the incredible team who was with us in this journey, and also the backend chapter of Pandora. Thanks to everybody involved, and there are many more exciting things to come, and I'm going to share with you in a minute. But before we jump in, a bit about myself. As you know, I'm Smit. Hello. Sorry, the video is not working due to some Zoom technical issue, but you can see me. And I work with Goto in the platform reliability domain in Pandora. When I'm not at work, I like to fly small single engine planes. And I have a private pilot license, and I dream of traveling the whole Europe someday in my own little plane. So without further ado, let's talk about what's coming next. So as Guto mentioned, we took our first step with continuous observability initiative by creating the pre-flight checks, our own admission controller that ensures that all apps are deployed with required baseline monitoring and instrumentation. We achieved this by checking if the service uses our TF modules for baseline monitoring and is instrumented with required tracing libraries. Now, taking a further step in direction of continuous observability, we plan to embed the SRE culture inside the application lifecycle. Next year, our efforts will be focused on enabling apps to have day zero observability and instrumentation, which is required to automate SRE maturity level 1. We plan to achieve this by bringing SRE-related configs such as monitors, log ingestion config, etc., closer to the application code, thereby taking the batches included to the next level. This will also enable us with new possibilities such as self-registration of services to different systems like status page, ops guinea, software catalogs like Backstage, etc. This will remove the overhead of registering and unregistering services and keeping their metadata in sync with various systems away from application developers so that they can focus on what matters. Streamlining observability data ingestion with Vector. We want more control over the data that we ingest to Datadog and other upstream systems. And we plan to adopt Vector, a lightweight, ultra-fast tool for building observability pipelines to help us achieve this. Vector will open many possibilities, such as allowing us to sample and exclude critical and non-critical log events, reusing observability data for other use cases, such as generating fixtures for load testing, which is something I'll talk about in a minute, batching multiple events with similar context into one, thereby reducing the number of events sent to the upstream services, such as Datadog. New features means new bugs. Sometimes due to these bugs, applications produce extremely verbose log events, thereby causing the load on the cluster components such as network and upstream systems like Datadog. Using Vector, we will build safety nets by enforcing throughput-based quotas on logs. This safety net will prevent the noisy neighbor situation and help us avoid unexpected cost surprises. Currently, we produce half a petabyte of logs every month, out of which we drop 60% after they reach Datadog. We call this exclusion ratio. Using Vector, we can filter the event before it leaves our infrastructure, thereby reducing the load on the network and improving performance in log delivery. We would like to be compliant and keep our customers' data secure. Using Vector, we can detect and redact sensitive data before it leaves our infrastructure, and thereby taking proactive steps to improve security. Next, load testing. We should build our applications to serve our customers as quickly as possible, as is reasonable, and at a cost that makes sense for the impact. Proper load testing can help you improve the resilience of your application and not just capacity planning. People say that Pandora is a platform of edge cases due to the number of markets we operate in and our size and scale. Load testing Pandora will come with unique challenges. We plan to collaborate with the dev teams to tackle these challenges by redefining the process and evolving the foundation tooling to enable developers to load test their applications. Having a well-defined process and the proper tooling for load testing is essential for chaos engineering. So what is chaos engineering? Chaos engineering is a discipline of experimenting on a system in order to build confidence in a system's capability to withstand turbulent conditions in production environment. We want chaos engineering to be part of application lifecycle. With chaos engineering, we want to make technical depths more transparent, increase the quality of deliveries, and reduce incidents in production by learning about the application and its underlying dependencies, thereby taking a proactive step in improving site reliability. So before we conclude this talk, I would also like to share some of the key learnings we had throughout this wonderful journey. And we plan to use these key learnings as our guiding principles for any solutions that we build in future. Low adoption bar. At times, as you know, foundation teams face challenges in driving adoption of their products, and they often rely on top-down push to drive adoption. This is a bad idea. In the era of self-service automation and infrastructure as code, we need to be aware of operational toil your solution creates on them. We need to free developers from operational toil so they can focus on what they do best, which is building great software to solve real-world business problems. Over-aggressive efforts to drive adoption often fails and cause frustration among teams. We should be building solutions with safe and sensible defaults, such that minimal effort is required for new user to use your solution while allowing flexibility for power users. When feasible, it's always good to tap into the lifecycle and make the functionality auto opt-in, like we did with batches included monitoring to reduce mean time to detect. Developer experience. Oftentimes developer experience becomes a second-class citizen, but it shouldn't be the case. Developers are our customers, and a well-planned developer experience removes the roadblocks that prevent developers from quickly shipping value to their customer. The result is that development team's workflow is enhanced, higher productivity ensures, and project ship faster. 3 pillars of observability. So as you know, log, metrics, and traces are often known as 3 pillars of observability. While plainly having access to logs, metrics, and traces doesn't necessarily make systems more observable, these are powerful tools that, if understood well, can unlock the ability to build better systems while keeping observability cost in control. We also published a guide on how to effectively instrument your application, and you can find the link at the end of the presentation. Next, shared ownership. Ownership of reliability is very important, and an effective shared ownership model and a partner team relationships are necessary for SRE to function. Like DevOps, SRE also has strong values shared across the organization, which can make climbing out of team-based silos slightly easier. Community. When working in foundation teams, as I said before, devs are our customers, and it's important to create strong relationship with them to learn how they use your product and challenges they are facing, and to establish a healthy feedback loop. Involving them in earlier stages through RFCs and ADRs before starting big initiatives or introducing breaking changes to existing solutions can go a really long way. As you can see, with right mindset shift and tooling, an organization can improve site reliability, improve developer happiness, and promote the culture of innovation. Here are some useful links. You can find our SRE framework, our RFCs, and internal documentation. Having said that, I would like to conclude this talk and thank you all for your time. You can reach out to us at pdsresquad@deliveryhero.com, and we would love to hear about your experience in tackling similar challenges. And if you have any questions, now is the time for Q&A. Thanks again. I see there is one question in the Q&A. How do you ensure that all best practices, monitors, observability are applied to all services, all microservices? Very good question. So one is, of course, we try to always do auto opt-in for anything that we build. So which means that, whenever you deploy an application, the application is deployed with all the required baseline monitoring and all the best practices and safety nets before it's onboarded to production cluster. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I think just to summarize everything is through automation, right? Through automation, we can ensure that they have all the what we need.
Yep.